want to touch on the cost really fast that we haven't mentioned yet is the concept of you don't have to do the obligation yourself. So, and mortgage doesn't necessarily have to service, but we do have to be responsible to service it. So often what we'll do is subcontract that servicing out into a sub-servicer. And so that has widely been the way the entire industry has gone over the last 20 years. We've come down to it's such a complex thing to service a mortgage. Not so much when they're current and everything's going swimmingly, but when it becomes complicated and you have forbearance and defaults and all sorts of programs to help borrowers, which are good programs, get out of complex situations and come back to a current state. So we do utilize sub-servicers, but we have an oversight component that does cost in-house as well. So of that 25 bip strip, piece goes to our sub-servicer and a piece goes to the people and time and energy we do here in mortgage, and that remaining is what becomes our residual component that we get an income stream from on a monthly basis.
And then on occasion, we have an outside investor that is valuing that servicing way higher than we do. Maybe they think it's a 5-multi loan and we think it's a 4-multi loan.
Correct.
And they want to give us a bunch of money, we're probably going to take it.
That's probably right. So if we think it's worth X and they think it's worth more, there's intangible benefit though that we always consider. We think if we can retain it, that there's a premium and something more that we'd like to hang on to it. So we probably think our customers are worth, it's not just the dollars, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's qualitative factors that we still try to err to retention when we can. I'm throwing words out again. Retention is when we decide to keep it, like you said, versus when we sell it away to the other investor in your example.
Well, and it's putting value on a relationship, not just a loan.
Correct.
Because like we might go, okay, we have a better chance of getting the future loan business out of this customer if we keep it. So we'll take less money today to get the more money in the future.
Exactly. And that rebounded loan is another term that gets tossed out all the time, is recapture. But that's exactly right. So you were asking, we were going down a different path.
This could turn into two.
That's true. But what was the other path you wanted to go down to?
The other one that comes into play is the Federal Reserve is a big topic going on right now. So they decided this week they're going to keep interest rates the same.
Right.
So how does servicing values change when the prediction of interest rates changes? When there's a change to the change of the changes change.
It's really awesome because it's such a unique asset. It's actually different than most investments. So if you own mortgage servicing rights and you just think about it from the asset component, it's inverse to most assets. Where a company, ABC stock, when interest rates go up, typically their stock will contract in some way because their cost to borrow funds, whether it's now or in the future, is going to go down. And so that usually hampers valuations for stock. MSR is one of the few assets that's not a complex derivative trade that's actually interest rate long, meaning it goes up when interest rates go up. And the idea is you have a mortgage rate today. Let's go back a few years. You had 4% mortgage, and if interest rates went up to 6%, what are the probabilities that asset is, or that person is going to stay in that mortgage longer?
Higher.
Way higher. Yeah. We're seeing that actually right now, right? We're seeing a lot of that because we did go from A to B, and when all these people are thinking, gee, if I can stay in my home a little longer, it's better, because now all of a sudden this concept is I'm below market mortgage rate, and so it will influence my decision to keep that asset around longer. And this comes up with the backing up a little bit. I think it's really good to do this example, and I do this one often. How long does a mortgage last? You can play the simple answer.
It depends.
Well, that's fair.
That's a real simple answer, yeah.
Well, what's the first thing that's easy to step on? The first wrong answer. If you're doing a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage, how long does a mortgage last?
Well, 30 years.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
So you stepped on the right? So of course, very few people actually stay in their home and that specific mortgage for 30 years. So when I talked about that,
thank God they don't.
Well said, yeah. So when you go on that discounted cash flow model that I was talking about, and you go into the future, the question is, well, how long do I go into the future on my projection? And the old kind of logic or was around 7 to 10 years. And that was really, people are going to move for some reason, usually on average around 7 to 10 years. And that was a life event, like, hey, I had kids, I got married, I moved. Or it was something like a refi combined. So that was both things combined. And don't forget, we're talking about big statistical populations. So you have no idea on what specific situations happen. However, when rates go up, that refi, I'm going to hop in and I'm going to change my mortgage risk, almost disappear. Like, why would I want a 6% mortgage if I get a 4%? So I'm not going to do that. And all of a sudden, that 7 to 10 average rolls up to 9 to 12, right? And so all of a sudden, your cash flow stream goes longer, values go up.